Well, will GMO foods cause cancer? Actually, the answer is likely yes. You know, there's not enough long-term human studies to determine if GMO foods cause cancer, but what they've been doing recently, well, they have done this, and you can probably look it up someplace, and where I have looked it up, there's so much on this subject to indicate that GMO foods will cause cancer and actually a breakdown in the body. And actually, I just started doing organic. I didn't really think GMO foods were extremely bad, but then I saw these studies, and I'm talking about with medical doctors we're looking at. They gave a group of mice, one group organic, normal foods, and another group of mice genetically modified foods. And by the time the mice were 18 months old, which is middle age on a person, say like 40 or 40-ish, they had numerous cancerous tumors. Now, you know, the thing is, no, GMO foods haven't been out 40 years. Nobody's been eating them that long. Now, actually, I'm not a fan of Vladimir Putin, but I'll tell you, I'm definitely not. But I'll tell you one thing he did that I think was correct, was that he forced that all the food manufacturers in Russia label their foods. He didn't ban GMO foods. Now, I know in some countries in Europe they're pretty much being banned. In Japan, they're pretty much being banned. And I can tell you right now that Japan's got enough brains to know what's going on. As a matter of fact, Japanese are usually ahead of the game on many things. But Europeans are also, but you know, a lot of people in America are realizing, you know, is it good or isn't it good? But a lot of people aren't thinking about it, and actually I was in that group. Until I really started looking into some of the studies on how harmful it is to the mice. You're not going to know how bad it is until umpteen years later. And the thing is, you know, I'm reading stories about, in the major media, about Bill Gates talking about, you know, 15 years or less, or maybe 15 years from now, we'll have cures for all these major diseases. I'm thinking 15 years from now, we're going to have a whole host of freaking sick people from genetically modified foods, and it's already being forced on the farmers. You know, they have to buy the seeds. And now I'm going to give you a solution, though. You know, it's weird because the solution has been, not from me, like I didn't develop this solution. And it actually isn't from some, you know, garage-type tinkerer, you know, that's you know, working in a lab. Actually, this came out from the largest pharmaceutical giant, one of the largest pharmaceutical giants in the world. It was their scientists found out, you know, an answer to the food crisis. But it wasn't really part of the agenda. In other words, you know, there's people that work in, you know, let me put it this way, there's people that work in pharmaceutical, there's people that work in the government that are really good people. Then you got evil elements in those areas too. You know, that's why you got to really look at it, not like, you know, I know a lot of people say, oh, it's pharma, oh, it's the government, don't trust it. It's a mixed bag. But this is actually something that isn't pharmaceutical, it's all natural. And I'm going to tell you what they discovered. I put this out in other videos in different, because I'm trying to get this out, because this is more important than anything. And I really, you know, I know a lot of times people want to hear something and they believe it, and then it's not. I realize it's an exaggeration or it's not true. You know, and then I wind up finding this out where, you know, somebody will tell you it's a cure for this or a cure for that, or it does this, and, you know, it's a miracle. And I'm like, wait a minute, you know, it's good, but it's not that damn good. But just want to put out the other thing, though, and this is actually more proof that the genetically modified program is not just to increase food production. You know, and that's what it is on the surface. You know, like we realize the reason they genetically modified foods is so they're more resistant to pesticides, or the pesticides are in the plant. Then you eat those toxic pesticides that are in the plant, and, you know, I'm telling you, it's not harmful, but it is harmful, okay? The other thing is they use a lot, if they're more resistant to pesticides, they'll either have it, the plant makes its own pesticides more inside of it, you know, its own natural pesticides, or they make the plant more resistant to pesticides. Either way, you're either getting a natural plant type pesticides that the plant normally freaking produces, or you're getting a plant with more Roundup sprayed on it because it's more resistant to Roundup. It does get into the plant and it does get into the food chain. So either way, that's toxic. But they're saying, hey, we got to increase food production. So you're thinking, on the surface, maybe these guys are just, all about money, and maybe they're all about, maybe there is a lofty goal to produce more food so people can eat more or whatever, or have more food, and there wouldn't be starvation and all that. Now, the other thing is, but the thing is, this is actually something where, and I'm going to post it again, and I'm going to actually tell you, it's amazing that, this isn't some BS, because it's been proven. It's just suppressed. There's suppressed technology. But I'll post it again. Actually, the work was done in the pharmaceutical giant Cibra, or I guess it's CIBA, now known as Novartis. It's a pharmaceutical giant in Munich. And the Swiss journalists basically brought it out what the biological discovery was. And what they did, let me just say what it is. They were able to take seeds and bring out what they call the Primeval Code, which is the best expression of DNA in the code. And they had an electronic method to do this when they treated it with fields of electricity. I don't know the exact specifications, but I have a roundabout idea. And I also have an idea that can possibly work in something else that may work too. Just be patient with this. It might be a long video because I can't just throw out, I don't like throwing out 5-minute blurbs that aren't going to cover the freaking subject, so sorry if this goes too long. But you just can't cover the subject in 5 minutes, because I know what those people do. They're doing that because they look for a big sensational headline for views and stuff, and I got to give you the real information as fast as I can, okay? So just bear with me. But it was, so this was done in a pharmaceutical lab, but it was done independently by some scientists in the lab that are working on, how to make food grow better or whatever, So they found out there was a way to wake up to primeval code in the DNA, which means the best expression of DNA. Actually, if they treat the genetically modified seeds like this, not only will they be improved, but they will not be genetically modified again. In other words, genetically modified means there's certain things the lab did to it that make the seed have certain characteristics, the plant have certain characteristics. Well, this electronic treatment of the seeds will cause other characteristics that are still in the DNA. They didn't change that. That'll be the main expression. So you can have genetically modified seeds that can be treated with this. In other words, you think we're screwed with genetically modified seeds? No, we're not. We can actually, even if we're stuck with genetically modified seeds, they could be treated with this method. And I have a pretty good idea, pretty close what the method is. I'll give you what it is. What I think it is that it will bring out the best DNA expression that's still in those genetically modified seeds. It'll ignore the genetically modified code that they put into it, to resist Roundup or have these characteristics. It'll bring out the best expression of DNA, and that crop will be far more abundant and hardier. Like, in other words, they found that, like wheat, they did this to an ordinary wheat. It would take so many months to grow normally. When they treated the seeds with these, and it's not genetically modified, it's an electronic device that brings out the best DNA code in there. What they did was it caused the wheat to grow in 6-7 weeks, and it was far more abundant. And I'm sure it was way more healthy because it was 100% natural. They also treated, I think it was some type of fish eggs or salmon eggs, and there was a type of salmon, I think it was a type of salmon, and that they thought was extinct for over 130 years. It was producing these large salmon or trout, or whatever, I think it was salmon. And it worked on the fish eggs too. Now, I'm going to tell you what the process is about, but basically the Swiss pharmaceutical group patented the process, and then they stopped the research in 1992. And the reason is, I can tell you right now what I think it is. The reason is behind genetically modified foods, it's part of population control. That's what I think. You could say, yeah, it's conspiracy. But you know what? If you go to Georgia, outside of, not far from Atlanta, you look at the Georgia Guidestones that are erected. Somebody spent $20 million to have those stones. Number one, it says, keep the population of humanity below 500 million in harmony with nature. What does that mean? I don't know. Kind of curious also that they say the date they were built was March 22nd, 1980, which is 322. March 22nd is Skull and Bones number. Another hint, right? Now, I'm going to tell you what I think, because, you know, they say this is a patented process, and they don't really tell you what the hell it was. But I was reading so many different things, and I don't even want to say where I read it, but for my best specifications on the process is, and I also I want to give you an alternative that might work too, besides this patented process, is that there was two fields of electricity. There are high voltage, or like I think there were several thousand volts, like 4,000 or 5,000 volts, separated by a negative on the bottom, positive on the top, separated by 6 inches. The seeds or the fish eggs were on a plastic tray, a non-conductive tray, in between these two fields. I don't know how long they treated them for. I think it was an hour or a couple hours. I'm not sure. But I'm going to also give you a little more information on this that it'll really maybe bring you on track or help somebody maybe figure this out, because we'd be pretty damn close to the solution. And the electricity did not pass through the seeds themselves. It was just in the field of current of electricity. Now, what happened was somehow there was like more energy brought into the seeds. Now, I'm going to tell you something. A lot of scientists, they understand that there's a thing called dark energy. There's other energies around us they don't understand. As a matter of fact, you know, they don't know exactly, you know, how everything really works. You know, really, what is life? What makes something spark? Now, you know, Tesla is quoted frequently as, you know, everything is frequency and energy. If you want to understand the universe, I think it's something along those lines. But it's like, you know, those are very generic things that are like, you know, yeah, that's a cute saying. You know, what does that really mean? But from my understanding about this, there was a negative plate on the bottom and a positive plate on the top. They were between these two fields of electricity, and the tray in the middle was plastic, non-conductive. The electricity did not pass through the seeds, but it was within the field of electricity. But you know what this reminds me of is what you call is the Georgia-Guidestones multi-wave oscillator, which I put many videos out on. The Georgia-Guidestones multi-wave oscillator was something that Georgia-Guidestones got the idea from Tesla, got some advice from Tesla on how, you know, basically get the thing going, but he actually did all the work and all the research. And back in the 30s, up to 1942, when Georgia-Guidestones was hit and run by a limousine in New York City, you know, it sounded like suspicious death to me, big time. This device was touted as a cure-all because it didn't actually address disease, but what it did, they're not 100% sure. They said it was either negative energy or negative ions, because when you're bringing in the cells, if you make the the cells of the body negative charge, it actually, negative charge is alkaline, disease is acidic, and it's positive. The electric charge of the body is, you know, I'm getting onto something here. Just be patient, but I gotta relate it this way because it's probably a method that we might, even if we don't know this exact specification, there's a lot of Guidestones coils out there that may be able to treat seeds, and it might work. I don't know, but you know what? It's not patented. That ain't patented. But let me give to you like how this multi-wave oscillator works. And I don't sell this stuff or make it, you know. But what it does is they got three things they kind of figure where it made the body stronger. It actually cured people that were hopelessly ill. They were terminally ill. It actually reversed age people. It restored gray hair, you know, from gray hair back to black or whatever, dark hair. lessened wrinkles. It reversed age people, actually. And the way they figured it worked was it might have changed the electrical charge in the cell. The electrical charge in the cell, the body cells are slightly negatively charged. A healthy body. When a cell goes cancerous, it goes positive charge. Actually, alkaline is pH means negative charge. It's actually a definition. It's like something's alkaline, it's got a slight negative charge to it electrically. Something's acidic, it's got a slight positive charge. So that's one theory. They think it may have worked that way. The other theory is the vibrational frequency of the cells. It says since this thing put out frequencies in the gigahertz, they thought that maybe it caused the cells in the body that were that had a low frequency, like that's when you start going into cancer and death or whatever, it brought the frequencies up. That's the other thing. The third reason, I'm not sure exactly why it worked. Tesla came up with the idea, but George Guidestones made the device, perfected it, and it was actually used and evaluated by medical doctors for many years. I'm thinking about this device can maybe be used on the seeds. The third thing is it may be focusing energies in and around us that we don't see, that we don't measure, into life itself. As a matter of fact, they found a simple an open copper coil, which is just one end open, around a plant made it grow better. They found this Guidestones coil made plants grow better, throw off cancer. I'm thinking this might be the way to treat the seeds because we don't know this exact patent. And since it's a patent, they're not going to release it. They want to do genetically modified. And I'm telling you right now, if they got this kind of information, and this is really 110% legit, it's on. I'm going to point to a link on the internet. You can read some about generically, you know, what they did. But I'm trying to get out that maybe what could work for true specifications without violating their patent. The Georgia Guidestones coil. That might be it. So, actually I have a portable version of it. I don't use it too much because the cats are always sleeping in front of it. I'm going to turn it on and scare the hell out of them right now because they're going to go, because that's why I don't use it. But, but actually when it's off, I heard the coils probably work a little bit too, maybe. I don't know. I know some people look at this like it's snake oil. People believe in it. They'll say, yeah, it's true for sure. I don't know. But the Guidestones coil, I do know, was evaluated on, you know, growing plants faster, making plants that were sick with problems, you know, heal up. They deliberately injected cancers into plants. And I'm thinking that might be a good thing to try to get, you know, get this good primeval expression of the seeds woken up that's in the DNA. Because really, I didn't want to make this video about a doom and gloom, they're freaking coming after us, and yeah, they are. Actually, if you look at some of the garbage that's in the United Nations, I mean, yeah, they'll tell you vitamins should be a controlled substance, man. Nutrients should be a controlled substance. Oh, they're freaking yo-yos, man. Yeah, they want to control everybody and everything. And, you know, I'm going to tell you, yeah, you know, maybe communication is great, and we get the word out, and we be a truther. But I'm going to tell you one thing. When it really comes down to it, the sword is mightier than the pen. And the pen, you know, when they say the pen was mightier than the sword, that was written by some geek that writes shit down that was too scared to pick up a sword. Okay? I'll just leave you with that, too. Because when the bottom line, it comes down to, like, you know, the bullshit gets a little bit too deep. And, you know, you're grasping for air, like, oh, hey, man, this is getting a little bit too deep with the bullshit regulations. Hey, grab the sword, baby. You know what I mean? Not to say you're going to do anything wrong, but, hey, you know, I got to tell you this like this. The sword is mightier than the pen. How the hell you think they got the Magna Carta signed in the UK? Yeah, they put the sword to the throat of the king. They put it right to his throat at Runnymede, and they said, sign the freaking document, yo-yo. So anyway, you know, while they're trying to do this to us, and they're also trying to outlaw freaking wood-burning stoves in Utah when it's like 30 below zero and the snow is like 5 feet high. I don't know what these guys, you know, because then the doctors are getting together signing the document saying, oh, it's got secondary smoke. Yeah, doctor, you asshole, get on a firefighter suit and go fight a freaking forest fire if you're worried about that shit. Get off, I don't like these You know why I'm doing this, YouTube? Actually, I'm in the professional fields, but they make me sick to my stomach sometimes. I'm like, ugh! You know what I mean? I can do what I want on this shit. So anyway, I'm going to show you my Lukowski coil thing at the end of this. I'm going to get the cats out of here before I turn it on. But just to show you what I have, it's not a real one. It's a portable one. I know people say, that's not a real one. It's not, because I can't afford a real one. I don't even know where the hell a real one is. And I don't want to, it's like, a real one takes up a lot of space, It's like a freaking big, huge thing. But I think that portable one works okay, too. I think that portable one works okay, too. A real one, I might build one later sometime. But I got more energy now that I've been doing mostly organic the last couple weeks, and I'm going to actually do a lot more stuff. So let me show you what that is. Hopefully I didn't confuse people on this deal, because I kind of jumped around. I want to cover a lot and give you stuff you don't hear on YouTube, without freaking being like, the sky is falling, and give you, I'm looking for hits, couldn't tell you the sky is falling, and everybody's like, ooh. I don't need those kind of people. I want people that are going to just pick up the tools and fight, pick up the swords and fight. First you pick up the tools. Then if they don't let you pick up the tools and do your own shit, then you pick up the sword and you say, hey, king at Runningmead, you sign into Magna Carta, Bill of Rights, it's ours. Fuck you, excuse me, but you know what I mean. Anyway, let me show you what I got. Actually, I could afford a multi-wave oscillator, no problem. I don't really have room for the shit, and it's another bullshit. I got so much shit I don't want to deal with. Man, that's another story. Anyway, let me show you what that is. It might work. That might work. Well, I turned it on for half a second, and Putin the cat freaking took off like a rocket already. So Goldie's over here like, what are you doing? Anyway, he's going to be gone. Here, this is it. So this would be, the real one is not as noisy as this puppy, but they always they sleep right in front of it right here. See, they go, yeah. Anyway, they're probably getting healing waves off it, but this is something where maybe you could have the seeds over here on a plastic tray. Even the portable one might work. I think this has some effect. So this is what it is. All right. So, I got to get one that's quiet. Anyway. So, but that might be able to treat the seeds if you have it right here. And, on a plastic tray, and I could smell the ozone coming off here. And every time I use this, I could tell you one thing. My own testimony is I felt like I have more energy. I was like, wow. It's probably, I don't know what it is, negative ions or something. But that might be something to use. This way you're not violating anybody's patent or anything like that. We have the basic concept that it's something in fields of electricity that are bringing out the best DNA expression in the seeds. Now, wouldn't that be a trip, even if you can use these type of portable ones, turn that thing on for, a few, 20-minute sessions, like 3 20-minute sessions, and the seeds are all souped up again, better than new. Oh boy, I don't know, but it might be. These are cheap too and portable. It's like the biggest. I like it because it's as big as a table lamp. So, anyway.